video installation as well, so there's some interesting things to talk about. But what is that you are sitting in front of?
So I have an instrument here that's called an omnichord, and we love using different kinds of instruments. On the recording you heard, there was a lot of oscillator, which is like a keyboard without keys. Well, this is another keyboard without keys. You actually strum it.
Okay.
And if anybody knows what an auto harp looks like, it looks a little bit like an auto harp.
It kind of does, except maybe a little more rounded, you know.
But it's a synthesizer, and they don't make these anymore, which is too bad because it's a cool little toy.
Where'd you find yours?
It was I had an uncle who used to like to give us toys, and he bought this at I think an auction, and it was like, I must have been 10 years old. I played piano, and he said at Christmas if I could play him a song on it, I could take it home. So it was a toy for a long time, just in our basement, that was like anybody else's cheap little keyboard, and then it kind of got pulled out eventually and worked into music, and it's just been sitting in my house forever. So.
Is this the first time you've busted it out for playing purposes? Or like, not today, but I mean recently?
Well, we use it a lot for our last album had a lot of songs about robots on it, and that's the one I'm going to do for you today, and that kind of ties in with the technology themes here, and so we used this to write a lot of robot songs with.
Cool. Okay, what's the song you're going to play for us then?
We Are the Robots.
Sounds good. This is Randell from Two Times the Mono. We Are the Robots, doing a little solo performance here on Watermelon Throwdown. I hope you dig it. Whenever you're ready, sir.
As we stand utterly fine, don't we form such nice lines as we prepare our goodbye? Stand in line. You will turn out just fine once you learn to toe the line.
Nicely done. That's Two Times the Mono. Randell is here from the band playing a little bit of their stuff on their last record. We Are the Robots solo version. But that's pretty great, man.
Thank you.
It's nice to be able to be in a band and have so many options and the ways to do your stuff. I mean, you're not just like, I got our drum space and guitars. Here we go. And that's awesome. I mean, obviously that's my kind of favorite music usually, but not necessarily. You guys have so many different options in terms of the way you create your music.
And it's gone through different combinations, but right now it's the guitar, bass, drums, and then a number of synthesizers on top of that.
Yeah.
And then previously it's been like ukuleles and synthesizers and guitars and drums, or omnichord, all kinds of different mixtures.
And to be able to show up at a radio show bringing only that and your rack for your harp there, you know, that's kind of a nice change of pace. So
yeah.
Well, it gets you interested too, I would imagine. You know, and I mean, it's not like you guys said about. It sounds like you have a different way of creating things. I mean, the creation story behind the title track off the EP, that's not your normal way of creating things. It sounds like you guys do things a little differently depending on the mood you're in, the time, the song, whatever it calls for.
Yeah, it's just about creativity, and we need to be interested in it. And we really like to be surprised ourselves, so we keep trying different things. And so, like in our live shows, for 4 years now, we've been doing a lot of projections on the band. And so then for the concert that's coming up this weekend, we're trying to take that up one more notch and have like multiple projections, and some having sort of retro images on some of the screens, but another one will have like video feedback that, if you know what video feedback is, it's like it's a picture of a picture of a picture, and so if I move on stage, it's going to be cascading behind me on the screen.
Well, now let's talk a bit more about that show, because you're not just calling it a show, you're calling it a video installation concert. And Thoughts on Air.
Yes.
And so obviously it's right there in the name of the event, so obviously the video is a huge, important part. It's not just, oh, look at the cool things happening around the band. What's the source of most of this video, and what's the idea behind it?
We just really wanted to, when we're talking so much about community on the album, we wanted to make sure this concert wasn't just a straight concert. We wanted it to be more of a happening. And so I have an arts background, and I've done video installations that are just like gallery pieces. My brother, who does a lot of our videos, has sort of a theater production background, and so he has done sort of theatrical type things. And so we're just trying to put all that together, and even if the band wasn't playing, the videos and installation parts of the show would be like an art show in itself. So it's not quite just a concert, and it's not quite just an art exhibit, it's the whole thing all together.
Which is going to be certainly interesting, because it brings people in knowing there's going to be a more visual element than usual, so they'll be sort of mentally, hopefully, ready to soak it in a couple of different ways at once. So the show's at the Urban Arts Collective, is what it's called?
Yeah, Urban Art Initiative.
Initiative, sorry. I knew there was an "iv" at the end of the word. Urban Arts Initiative, and you may know the space without knowing you know it. We were talking again off microphone.
Yeah, it used to be the factory's old space.
That's right.
Where they would screen movies. And it's now the Urban Arts Initiative, which they do a lot of programming for youth and street-involved youth or at-risk youth, and trying to get them involved in arts projects. And so they have art lessons there, there's Roots to Leaf there, Recreate. These are organizations that help youth sort of find their creative voice. And then because the space is right on James Street, they then are able to showcase their talent right alongside everyone at Art Crawl. And so that's sort of its mandate, is generate opportunities for youth, but then allow the public to see that. And we thought it was a really great community space, and we've always loved going in there on Art Crawl. And so we just saw it as a space that would be really great to do a show in.
It was always marginally mysterious during Art Crawl, because they'd be doing screenings, so of course the room is dark, but there's a flicker of light. And of course, in case you don't know the space, it's just a doorway and a hallway to get to it. So beside Halk and Sparrow there on James North, and the CBC on the other side, is that right?
There's a flower shop, and it's just a couple doors down from the CBC. But yeah, you open up it's like this door that's right in between these two, recognizable shops, that's hidden behind this pole, and you walk through it, and you go down this really long brick hallway. I feel like it's like the opening to like School of Rock or something, and it opens up, and you're in this beautiful little gallery space that's very open, and
yeah, it's cool.
Just a long space.
If you walk by and the door is open, and something's going on, it seems like way off in the distance.
Absolutely.
Something interesting is happening just out of sight, and you want to go back and explore it. The actual address, for those of you who don't know Halk and Sparrow or Euphoria or whatever, is 128 James Street North, so you can find it that way. So what's next up for Two Times the Monolith? This is going to be a really fascinating show. I know you've been building up to it for a little while. And you know what, before I even ask that question, that's kind of a lead-out question. I have one more question.
Okay.
About the theme of the show and the theme of the title track on this, which is community versus technology. It was a poem, so it's obviously something you gave more thought to than just slapping a title on something. So what is the sort of thinking behind it?
Well, the whole album started with just thinking about technology and sometimes the ways that technology or just the speed of our life sort of takes us out of community and takes us out of a relationship. And so a lot of the songs are really talking about community and relationship, whether it be a song like Industrial Sea, which is talking about actually the neighborhood I live in, and it's a really nice street, and it's totally wrongly was originally named Industrial Sea, and just the idea of sort of technology and neighborhoods and industry living beside each other, and then a song like Young Love, where it's just really going into like long-term relationships and fidelity in marriage, and all the guys in the band are married in different stages, and so I was thinking a lot about that. And then community versus technology, it started with just about the cell phone, and I would be talking to someone and they'd be on their cell phone and they weren't engaging with me, or we're on a show and you look out and people have paid money to be there and they're texting. Yeah. Or I've been to big shows like Sufjan Stevens, and you look down and there's people on their phones and they paid $50 to be there, and
they're watching it through their phone, which they might as well be doing at home on YouTube.
Which is at least one step better, but sometimes they're not even like watching. They're having to check their email or tweeting about everything that happened, but not being part of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a symptom of a lot of things. So the song just kind of took off with that and started to use lots of different references, like it's the same people who might want an 8-bit file instead of a 24-bit file for their music that are so into speed that they might be the person that is moving out of the neighborhood that they grew up in because it's no longer big enough for them, or they're moving out on their friends because they're no longer the right crowd for them. It's just this idea of always moving onwards and upwards, and it sometimes takes you out of what is actually real and deep community.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and I have a lot of friends who have similar thoughts, maybe different philosophies of why, but they sort of decry the whole phenomenon too. So I got one friend who's really against the whole thing, and if you put a cell phone on the table in front of you when you're out for a pint, he's like, put that away.
Yeah.
Hang out with me. I get it.
It's a tool, so it's not that Two Times the Mono is anti-cell phone. I think we're just pro-community, but these images just kept coming to mind, whether it be about cell phones or factories, but just things that are sort of getting in the way of a relationship.
Cool. Well, now, so we'll go back to the other question that I skipped back from, which is, so what's next on your guys' plate? You were talking about possibly doing some more recording or writing?
Yeah, so we've started writing an additional 3 songs, and that process is still ongoing. So the songs are kind of taking form. We got one of them ready that we're going to play this weekend, and that's great. But we got 2 more in the works, and I think we'd like to go back in the studio and then capture those. And if enough people take interest in these first 3 songs, we would really like to release all 6 on a vinyl, like a heavyweight vinyl.
Cool.
And do it proper, put the right frame on these tunes.
Nice. Well, the show is Saturday night, and it is 128 James Street North, also known as the Urban Arts Initiative. And I believe it's $10 at the door.
$10 at the door.
All ages, right?
All ages. Doors open at 7:30. We are starting promptly at 8 as the first band, so we're not going to wait around for a long time.
Fair enough. Well, and that gives you time to do a couple of things in one evening, I'm guessing.
That's right.
So it'll be pretty great. We're going to play another song off of the EP. We're going to play a track for today, as you pointed out, it's Valentine's Day, so Young Love would be probably the suitable track, I
That's
think.
good.
So.
And maybe I should just mention, even if you're not able to come to the show,
Mhm.
go to 2timesthemono.com. That's 2xthemono.com, and you can see some links to download the album for free. We're just